Mr. Heisenberg.
Hello.
Please tell us something a bit about yourself.
Sure thing. I'm Werner Heisenberg. I was born in Würzburg, Germany on the 5th of December 1901. I grew up in a household where Greek philosophies were discussed day in and day out, courtesy of my father, Caspar Heisenberg, who specialized in Greek and medieval philosophies. That also affected my hobbies to a great deal because I enjoy studying classical philosophy in my leisure time, and alongside that, I also enjoy hiking and playing the piano.
Mr. Heisenberg, do you mind sharing a bit about your work?
Sure. After initially dabbling with philosophy, I was greatly intrigued by Einstein's theory of relativity, which I can say straight up largely affected my decision to study physics. I studied physics throughout my higher education under the names of Sommerfeld, Wien, Max Born, and James Frank. Later on, I became an assistant to Max Born at the University of Göttingen after I completed my PhD at the University of Munich in 1923. It was from 1924 to 27 that I was working with Niels Bohr at his research institute in Copenhagen. We did theoretical investigation into quantum theory and the nature of physics. It was during this period that I formulated the uncertainty principle, which I termed it as imprecision, but eventually it took the name of uncertainty. Anyways, this principle is about the uncertainty of finding both the exact position and momentum of very small objects like these subatomic particles. What it states is that after a position or the momentum of an object is determined, the other cannot be determined exactly. So there exist only probabilities of it appearing or existing in a certain range or a place.
Now, moving on to something a bit controversial, can you please share about your role in German nuclear program?
Well, I think that has been exaggerated and used by my detractors as a tool against me. Let me set the record straight. I had been drafted by the German army to research about harnessing nuclear energy for wealth. However, as I tried to convey to Niels Bohr in Copenhagen in 1941, we and consequently the German government decided that pursuing a weapon using nuclear fission would require immense resources, and it probably won't be available by the conclusion of the war. And therefore, subsequently, the project was abandoned. So the question of me working on the bomb does not arise at all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Einstein, for sparing some time and joining us. We are highly honored. Well, actually, the physicist Werner Heisenberg has recently applied to a university for a job, and we would highly encourage if you could share your views about him with us.
Ah, Heisenberg. Uncertain, you might say. Um, his work speaks for itself. There's no denying his accomplishments. We've had multiple interactions over the years, and despite the different political circumstances that those meetings took place in, well, if I'm not mistaken, one of our earliest interactions was in Göttingen, where I met him when he was just a young individual. And what really strikes me from that conversation was that he told me that it was my work on the theory of relativity that got him interested in the field of physics. It was really inspiring to hear that how our work can inspire others to take that forward, and eventually it's going to further our understanding of the universe, which it did. After that, we met sporadically over the years. I remember in particular, he came to visit to me in Princeton in 1954, if I'm not mistaken. And despite our differences over the years, I've always admired his commitment.
Well, Mr. Einstein, could you please elaborate like what kind of disagreements you guys had? Like, can you please share one particular event with us?
It was about the uncertainty principle. I believe, like I told Heisenberg unequivocally back in 1926 when he published his paper, that you cannot account for unobservable quantities by just deciding to employ observable quantities. And every theory, in fact, contains unobservable quantities. And although he proved his theory of uncertainty using the counterexamples that I gave him, I could not come to the agree with the notion that everything that had been discovered and clarified in our field has been already been done. However, this was in essence a academic disagreement. What really irked me was his role which he played in the development of a nuclear weapon for the Nazi regime in Germany. This was a regime which was involved in the persecution and murder of millions of people. And to help them develop a nuclear weapon and use the bounties of all of the scientific discoveries that we've achieved to this day, and to help such a regime with your talents is, in my book, an unexcusable thing to do. And I believe that he did apologize for his role in that, but I'm not convinced of the sincerity of that apology.
Well, lastly, thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us.
This was, in essence, an academic disagreement. What really irked me was, what really got me boiling was, bro, why are you working with the Nazis? Even the Nazis don't want to work with the Nazis. Bro, have some shame.